Hey everybody, welcome to my very basic guide on pack making, where you learn about the beings too great to comprehend with your puny mortal mind, so you decide to turn into a fish person to better cope with your insanity. Or maybe you get to become a super cool warlock that gets to play with other people's brains instead. If you decide to go to the warlock route instead of the fish person route, your otherworldly patron is the Great Old One, granting you a brain-smacking expanded spell list that lets you choose new spells that are not from the standard warlock list. Your expanded spell list is as follows: Dissonant Whispers and Tasha's Hideous Laughter for spell level 1, both being pretty nice spells for the early game, potentially molesting the brains of your enemies and screwing them over for a turn or two. Although keep in mind that warlocks already do get pretty great first level spells in Armor of Agathis, Hellish Rebuke, Arms of Adar, and Hex, so you must choose wisely. For the second level spells, we get Detect Thoughts and Phantasmal Force, both being very dependent on your DM and how you guys like to roleplay stuff, and also how flexible your DM is willing to be in terms of what you can get away with, but they are still fun spells to mess around with, so there's that. At spell level 4, we get Dominate Beast and Ivard's Black Tentacles. Both are pretty nice concentration spells. They're pretty strong. And finally, at spell level 5, we get Dominate Person and Telekinesis. 5th level spell slots are the final spell level that warlocks can naturally get access to, with higher spell levels being tied to your Mystic Arcanum. Both Dominate Person and Telekinesis are also concentration spells, but both can also have very creative applications in different situations. Having multiple concentration spells isn't that bad for warlocks due to their lack of spell slots, meaning you probably don't want to expend spell slots for every encounter, and you rely more on your invocations and cantrips anyways, rather than constantly spamming spells every turn. Alright, and that does it for the expanded spell list for the Great Old One Patron. Now that it's out of the way, we can talk about the otherworldly patron features of the subclass itself. At level 1, we get Awakened Mind, which allows us to brainscape any creature within 30 feet of you, and then you guys don't even need to share the same language. This is a pretty cool feature that has a lot of potential depending on the campaign setting and how your DM role plays as an NPC. It also doesn't really cost you an action or a bonus action, meaning you can do it at any time. Entropic Ward is the level 6 feature that allows us to impose disadvantage on an attack roll against you, and if it misses, it gives advantage on your next attack against the attacker before the end of your next turn. So this ability is pretty garbage, I think. It's really not that good, given how you can't use this ability to help your allies. It only triggers if someone attacks you specifically, and the advantage that you get only works against the creature that missed their attack on you, and of course the fact that you can only do this once until you finish a short or long rest. So yeah, I think this is a pretty trash tier ability. I'm not sure what else to say. Anyways, starting at level 10, you get Magneto's Helmet, preventing your brain from being probed unless if that's what you're into. Thought Shield also gives resistance to psychic damage, and a creature that deals psychic damage to you gets hit by that same amount of damage. So your resistance actually technically also makes it so the enemy takes less damage as well, but whatever. Alright, now it's time to talk about your ultimate final ability of your otherworldly patron features. At level 14, you get something called Create Thrall. Create Thrall is your patron capstone at level 14 that is great in theory, but is let down by the actual mechanics of the charmed condition. If you look at the Create Thrall text, it says only that it applies the charmed condition once you touch an incapacitated humanoid, and you contrast that wording with a spell like Dominate Person, which specifically outlines how you can control that person once they are charmed by the spell. Yeah, so this basically means that you just get the bog standard charmed condition on your thrall. This means that all you get with your quote-unquote thrall is its inability to attack or harm you, and you also get advantage on social rolls with it, and that's it. So, when an ability says Create Thrall, you would rightfully expect something more akin to Mind Control, but in reality, this level 14 feature is just Create Friend, and that kinda sucks. So obviously your DM can always adjudicate and make it something stronger than a normal charm, but weaker than full-on mind control. But, it would be nice if the text itself supported something like that more. But keep in mind that warlocks are still warlocks, with all their invocations, pact boons, and of course, Eldritch Blasts. So even if the Great Old One Patron features are a bit underwhelming at times, there is still lots of love in creating a slave to Cthulhu. And that about does it for the features of this subclass and the video itself. So in conclusion, we get a real great lesson of maybe being pickier with who or what we lose our mind to, but if you still do decide that your soul is up for sale, maybe try to eke out some more favorable terms with your patron, or also known as your DM. As always, I hope that anyone who happens to watch my stuff enjoys what I create, as much as I enjoyed creating it in the first place. I hope to see you guys next time, but until then, goodbye for now.